This is Daniel Seberg in New York. It's been called the Twitter, even the Facebook revolution. First, the revolt in Tunisia. Now, the chaos in Egypt. Young people in both countries turn to the internet to organize rallies and spread a message of dissent. In Egypt, the current protests began early last week, announced on Facebook, word of which rapidly spread on Twitter. According to American University of Cairo journalism professor Firas Al-Atrakchi.
People were tweeting on Tuesday, January 25th from Liberation Square in downtown Cairo, and their friends, colleagues, or other people who were following these tweets said, hey, you know, I should be out there, I should be standing in solidarity with them.
Later in the week, the Egyptian government pulled the plug on the country's internet and cell phone communication. Until Friday, Egyptians enjoyed a relatively open and unfettered internet, more so than just about any other Arab country.
Social media has been the only outlet for a lot of people to vent their frustration. So when the government imposed this internet blackout and cut off Egypt from the rest of the world, there was significant anger. And I think that backfired on the government and brought more people out into the streets.
But while social networks and cell phones can offer new ways of starting a revolution, there are also those who argue that we can't forget about the dark side of these so-called internet freedoms.
It's all about sharing your location, it's all about sharing your data, sharing your information, showing where you are, and of course all of that can be very easily exploited by dictators of the secret police.
Evgeny Morozov, author of The Net Delusion, says using social networks can be downright dangerous for political activists.
We actually see a lot of authoritarian governments in places like China and Russia and Iran actively turning to the internet to hunt for dissidents, to learn about their personal details, and to arrest them. Just this week, actually on Monday, the Iranian government hanged two Iranian activists for distributing footage of 2009 protests on the internet.
Regardless of how it's used, there's no question that when tanks are rolling by, buildings are in flames, and protesters are being beaten and shot to death, technology clearly takes a back seat.
Social media did not cause what we see happening in Tunisia and Egypt today, but it did act as a vehicle that might have increased the speed at which these things were unfolding.
And it's likely we have not seen the last of the internet's pivotal role as an agent for change.
Historians will look back at what has been happening and unfolding in the Middle East and North Africa right now with a sense that this has been a turning point.
For better or worse.
There are many other networks in the world. Some aid in the movement of people or resources, and some facilitate exchanges between individuals with the same work or interests. But the internet is a network that magnifies the power and potential of all others. And that's why we believe it's critical that its users are assured certain basic freedoms. There are 4 billion cell phones in use today. Many of them are in the hands of market vendors, rickshaw drivers, and others who've historically lacked access to education and opportunity. Information networks have become a great leveler, and we should use them together to help lift people out of poverty and give them a freedom from want. The freedom to connect is like the freedom of assembly, only in cyberspace. It allows individuals to get online, come together, and hopefully cooperate. Once you're on the internet, you don't need to be a tycoon or a rock star to have a huge impact on society. Not stand by while people are separated from the human family by walls of censorship. And we cannot be silent about these issues simply because we cannot hear the cries. So let us recommit ourselves to this cause. Let us make these technologies a force for real progress the world over. And let us go forward together to champion these freedoms for our time, for our young people who deserve every opportunity.
We just heard Hillary Clinton emphasize the importance of internet as a freedom of assembly and a tool for social, economic, and political change. But what are the benefits of internet in the classroom? Technology has certainly evolved from radio and motion pictures to television, microcomputers, educational software, static web pages, and currently Web 2 technologies that foster interaction and communication. We know that schools and classrooms are dynamic, interactive social places where teachers and students communicate, share information, and challenge each other's ideas. But how is technology and the internet specifically used in most schools? The term technology in schools has often been viewed as an educational panacea in which students would learn in spite of their teacher. But in general, students are not communicating with others on such topics as present economic policy, where they might consult an expert or to compare varying perceptions of Mao Zedong with students in other nations. Technology is rarely used for real-world problem solving, such as investigating a local community problems like recycling and pollution of rivers. Despite the promising potential, technology in social studies classroom is not widely used by social studies teachers to support critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. For most part, technology use is limited to augment and enhance existing practices, even though computers are now widely available in most classrooms. The strength of the internet is in its ability to greatly increase these communications and collaboration among student and teacher, to increase the range of resources available to students, and to provide students with multiple ways of presenting their ideas and opinions. It makes additional information resources available, it enhances dynamic communication, and it makes collaboration easier. The internet eliminates the need to be in the same place at the same time as the person or resource you are interacting with. There are technical requirements such as a computer with an internet connection, but other than that, the world is at your door. The potential to have all the educational resources you need at home, at school, or anywhere you have a computer is now there. This is not to say that the interaction and dynamic of classroom are going away. Rather, they are growing. Away from school, students can ask questions that come to mind by communicating via Skype, tweeting, or sending email to friends, teachers, or content experts. They can research material at various websites, and they can submit their work for review from anywhere at any time. The potential to expand students' learning time is tremendous. It is up to the teacher to decide how these resources best fit their educational beliefs. The net is a tool that, when used intelligently, can be very effective. It offers powerful and varied ways for students and teachers to interact, manipulate data, and conduct research. The internet expands the resources available and decreases the time and location dependencies that can be limiting factors in schools.